About a month ago, I was on the YouTube Adventureland, and I came across someone who had the audacity to name themselves NASA Fanboy Globe-Head or just something. Obviously a troll name. And, I mean, nothing against the guy, but you come up with a name like that, you're just trolling. You're looking for attention. So I'm going to give you some attention, NASA fanboy, and all the other NASA fanboys out there who just go to Google for the first search result for their ammo in the comment section without even thinking about it. So here's my question. Well, let's start with a little quick narrative. Everyone knows Arthur C. Clarke. And 2001, 2010, his adventures to Jupiter and to Europa, some magical, mystical, monolith on the moon beckoned him. Well, Mr. Clarke, the father of the satellites, or grandfather, perhaps, the third book in his, well, I believe it's a 4-part book, but the third one was called 2061. And I read this when I was about 12. I remember going to the library, and no, it wasn't a library. I think it was like a book fair. And I remember seeing the 2061, and it was cheap because it was just a little book. And so I'm like, okay, I'll get that one. Because I've seen these other movies, so this has to be great. I read a little bit of sci-fi, not a whole lot, but I never really liked it because it just didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense. Look at green Mars, blue Mars, red Mars, and I just read this. I'm just like, God, you wrote so much, and it's just. It's garbage. and it's still to this day, that series, I think Kim Stanley Robinson, it's great. This is gonna be our Bible on Mars. Ridiculous. Okay, back to Mr. Clarke, because you guys know who he is. So in this third book, NASA Fanboys, they land on Europa, and they get down to the ice. I think the Chinese get there first. See, which he might be right, so a little prophecy there by Mr. Clarke, perhaps. Well, the Chinese get there. They land on Europa in their little probe, or their little spaceship, and a big squid crashes through the ice and just grabs the Chinese spaceship and the Chinese cosmonauts, or whatever they're called, and pulls them down. Oh, and the Americans and perhaps the Russians are back on Earth. They see this like, oh my God, oh wow, we got to get there. So I forget. I think it was just the Americans, or maybe there was a joint team. Who cares? So they go out to Europa. They land. They didn't see any squid. So they start drilling down through the ice, and they go through the ice, and then they go into the ocean, and they got like perhaps some submarine or something, and they're just trotting along through the ocean, and they get to the bottom, and they see these little humanoids pushing around rocks. I believe, I'm not going to try to describe these, it was a long time ago when I read it, but they're pushing these boulders around, and they're building these little like temples and these little like homes. I'm like, why the hell are they building homes? They're in the freaking ocean, and it's black. It's like, what are they shielding themselves from? Are they hiding from like alien sharks or something? I'm just reading this. I'm like, how would they get so big? I mean, he knew about the pressure of all the water and all that, and all the ice, but yet there's 6-foot tall humanoids on the bottom of the sea. We don't see that here on Earth. He knew that, but somehow they were there in Europa. in the European oceans. Whatever. Okay. So that was the last sci-fi book I ever read. I was just like, Mr. Clark, you're a freaking idiot. And I was just completely disenchanted ever since then, you know. I'd watch a couple sci-fi movies, but I would never pick up another sci-fi book. So, here's my problem. How the hell is life going to develop in the European oceans? Look at how life developed here on Earth. We don't understand abiogenesis, which is fine. Whatever, however you want to take that. But they do believe it requires minerals, lipids, acids, water, tides, and now they think like it needs the volcanic rock with the because it needs the holes, like the holes for the lipids to go in there and for the minerals and for all that just to magically happen. Pretty incredible. But they say it happens easily, and with the tides coming in and out, with the moon washing over the land, I'm like, okay, at least that's something, you're still missing a big piece of the pie, but at least you got some mechanisms and it's feasible and somehow, possibly, Look at Europa. You don't have any of that. How is this water going to mix with rock? You know what's in the bottom of the Europa? And they even admit it. Or I haven't seen anyone to say anything else. At the bottom of the European Ocean is a layer a few kilometers thick of ice 7. And you're like, what's ice 7 and what's ice doing in the bottom of, the water? Ice floats. Well, this ice is not cold ice, it's not frozen ice. It's water that is so compressed it becomes ice. There's nothing to do with temperature. It's perhaps even warm. And this is kilometers thick. This isn't a little layer of snow here. The water is being compressed so much that it becomes freaking hot ice, or we'll say warm ice. And I only say warm because I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt of the tidal friction of Europa revolving around Jupiter. So they call it tidal. I don't remember what they call it, but it's the tidal forces squeezing the planet or squeezing the moon, so it warms it. That's another thing. So let's go back to the ice 7. So you have several kilometers. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Several kilometers. They say up to 40 kilometers of ice. Then you have 10 to 40 to 100 kilometers of water. They don't have an idea, but they all agree that at the bottom it's compressed so much that it is ice. I haven't seen one scientist or one paper or one blurb about someone saying there's rocks, at the bottom of the I keep wanting to say European Ocean. So, where are the lipids? Well, they say there's ammonia and there's salt. Sure. Now they're like, well, there's ammonia. There could be amino acids. and they're just like, yeah, there's all this stuff down there. So, my issue is like, how, where in the hell would life even begin to form? Now there is one other thing. They do say, well, there's the black smokers. Now, I'm not talking about like Snoop Dogg. I'm just talking about the little vents in the bottom of the sea. These little like volcanoes with hot, bubbling up hot minerals or whatever. So that's going to have to bust through, we'll just say a few kilometers of ice 7 compressed so hard, and then there has to be enough heat generated from this tidal squeezing of Europa to even generate enough heat to even push through all that. The moon is revolving around the Earth. The moon's cold as ice, or not ice, but it's there's no volcanoes. Is there even seismic activity? There might be minuscule amounts, but even with that, and they're like, oh well, the Earth is so big compared to the moon, or they're like a double planet or whatever. So there should be plenty of tidal friction there, the squeezing of the moon to, if anything, to generate a little volcano, perhaps. I don't know. So, but Europa has supposedly all this heat down there, all this stuff to generate all this friction, and it's just gonna create. I mean, I don't see it. I'm sorry. And so what? They get down there. They gotta melt through all that ice. They drop a sub down there. I mean, you just see the billions and billions and billions of dollars being sending a submarine down there. Turn on the lights. What's it gonna see? It's not gonna see anything. It's gonna see a little filament of something. Oh, and the scientists are gonna get all excited. They're like, well, we need to send another one. But now we need to capture those little filaments. Oh, and now we gotta send them back to Earth. It's gonna come back to Earth, and like, oh no. It was just a hair. It was just, I don't know, who not a hair, like a, who knows what they'll say. But they're like, oh no. Well, I'm saying it's going to be analogous to the little microbes that they thought that they saw, the little blueberries they thought they saw on Mars. But now it's Jupiter. Now because that's even further and much more advanced and getting through all that ice, and they have no idea what the heck's going on. Really, you really think there's going to be life there? I don't even see the microscopic anything. There's going to be anomalies because it's going to be a different environment because the water is so dense. Come on, man.